Okay, now we're going to discuss solution to quiz 6 on for loop. So question 1 asks, what is the output of the following code? We have the first line, quiz is equals to a list, which contains 4 numbers, 4, 5, 3, 7. And second line and third line belongs to a for loop. So we have for I in another list, 0, 1, 2, 3, and print I, comma, with quiz square bracket I. So this print statement basically print the value of I, and then followed by a space, followed by the value of the I index of quiz. Okay, so at the first iteration, I will take the values of 0. So we will print 0 with a space, and then the value of quiz square bracket 0. Quiz square bracket 0 means the first element of quiz, or the value at the 0 index of quiz, which is 4. So we will expect to have 0, 4 as the first output in the first iteration. At the subsequent iteration, I will take the next value, which is 1. So it will print 1, followed by a space, followed by the value of quiz square bracket 1. Quiz square bracket 1 will be the value of the quiz at index 1, that is the second element of quiz, which is 5. So it will be 1, 5 as the output of the second iteration. And then at the third iteration, I takes the value 2, then we'll print 2, space, quiz, square bracket 2, quiz square bracket 2 will take the value 3. So we'll have print 2, 3, and then when I is equals to 3, which is the last iteration, we'll print 3 and quiz square bracket 3. Quiz square bracket 3 will be the fourth element of quiz, which is 7. That will be 3, 7. So the answer is A for question 1. Okay. Now, let's look at question 2. What is the output of the following code? We have quiz now contains only 2 elements, which are 4 and 5. And then line 2 and line 3 is a for loop, where in line 2 we have for I in range 3, print I, comma, quiz square bracket I. So this print statement is the same as before. You print the value of I, followed by a space, followed by the value of the I index of quiz, okay, which is the I plus 1 element of quiz. So let's do this together. So first of all, what is range of I? So here, range of 3, range of 3, generate integers from 0 to 3, exclude 3. So which means generate 0, 1, 2, not including 3. So that will be these are the only values that will be generated. All right. So for I in 0, 1, 2, that is generated on the fly. So range 3 is efficient. After it generates one element, it will discard these elements and generate the subsequent elements. Okay, and so on. And then you print I quiz square bracket I. So first iteration, I takes the value 0, and then you print 0 with a space, and then the value of quiz square bracket 0. Okay, quiz square bracket 0 will be 4. So it will print 0, 4. All right. And then the subsequent value is I is equals to 1. So it will print I, which is 1. And then quiz square bracket 1. Quiz square bracket 1 corresponds to the second element of quiz. That will be 5. So it will print 1 and 5. All right. And now, what about this? It's not the end. The iteration will still go on until the end of what is being generated. We still have one value here. So I will take value 2. and then it will print 2 space quiz square bracket 2. So what is quiz square bracket 2? So there would be the index 2 of quiz, the element at index 2 of quiz, but quiz only has 2 elements. So this has index 0, index 1, there is no index 2. So this will be an error. There is no quiz square bracket 2. So there will be an error. So it will print 04 first, 15, and then it will execute the last iteration and realize there will be an error. And then it will give out an error message saying that there's an index error. So the correct answer is D. Okay, let's look at third questions. You are asked to create a program to check if user's new password, which is a string based on user input, contains the vowel. All right, in other words, check if user's new password contains one of the characters in the following string, A, E, I, O, U. Okay. So here we ignore the alphabet case, so we only check whether it contains small case vowels. So small case vowels, okay? And so we basically check if new password contains one of the following alphabet, A, E, I, O, U. All right, so we get the input, store it as a string in a variable called new password. We declare a variable called has vowels and we set it equals to false. Okay, so we're gonna run some iteration to check whether it has a vowel. All right, so we're gonna iterate over the string. So for every X in new password, all right, it can be anything. It doesn't have to be X. It's just a variable name. Okay, it can be Y, it can be Z, it can be element, it can be I, any variable, but you iterate over the new password over every element in that string. So at first iteration, X would take the first element in that string, and at the second iteration, X will take the second element in this string here. Okay, this is a variable corresponds to a string. All right, so for X in new password, if this element that we are checking, this value X here, belongs is one of the following alphabet, A, E, I, O, U, then we know that new password contains a vowel, a small case vowels in particular. So if X is in A, E, I, O, U, right? Then we know that it has vowel. So we're gonna change has vowel equals to true. All right. Initially it's false because we found that X is one of the vowel and we set has vowel equals to true and we stop checking. We found it, then we stop, we break. Okay. And at the end, after the end of the for loop, after we finish the iteration, we go to line 8 when we print has vowels. Okay. So the idea behind is very simple. You basically iterate through the string new password, string stored in the variable called new password, and we take out every element in this string stored in the new password variable, and we check whether it has the property that we want. It has the property that we want if these elements that we check is a vowel, is a small case vowel. Okay, so it's a vowel if it belongs to one of the small case alphabets A, E, I, O, U. Okay, if it is, we set has vowel equals to true and we stop checking because we already found it. Okay, and if after we iterate through every element in the string stored in new password, none of them is a small case vowel, that means line 5 never is true, never is true. The Boolean expression X in the string A, E, I, O, U never is true. then has vowel is never set to true. And so the original value of has vowel remain to be false, and at the end it will be false. Okay, so that's the solution for question 3. And I would like to give you an alternate solution. So instead, if you have for x in A, E, I, O, U, okay, so instead of iterating through the string stored in new password, you now iterate through the string contains the alphabets A, E, I, O, U. And if x is in new password, okay, so then you set has vowel equals to true, and then you break. Now this solution is also right. All right, it's basically say that for every element in A, E, I, O, U, you're gonna check whether this element here actually is in new password. If it is in new password, then has vowel is true, and you can stop checking. Okay, so the difference between this and this is that here you check for every element A is a new password. You check every element in this small case alphabet here, check whether they are in new password. So in the first iteration, we have x equals to a, so you are checking whether a is in new password. If it's not, we go to the second iteration, checking x equals to e, and whether e is in new password. If it's not, you continue checking x equals to I, and see whether I is in new password, and so on. All right, so you iterate all the possibilities of the property that you want, which is small case vowels, and check whether these possibilities here are in the new password. So in the previous solution, you examining every element in the new password to see whether it has the properties that we want, and the property that we want is that it is a vowel. It belongs to one of the small case vowel. Okay, now when we have two solutions, we often want to compare which solution is better in terms of time and space complexity. Now, as I mentioned in last week lab, which is week mini presentation lab 6, at the end I have a long discussions comparing two solutions to the same problems, where first we iterate over the list and then check every element in the list or the string whether it contains the properties that we want, or we iterate all the possibilities of the properties that we want and then check whether this possibility appear in our list or our string here. Okay, and for this case, because of new password is a string, is a data structure that don't support efficient searching, these two solution actually have the same has equivalent time and space complexity in the worst case. Okay, in the worst case, as in when new password does not contain any alphabets, so it won't break in the middle, it won't break early. So it will go through all the elements and it will go through all the A, E, I, O, U to check. So in the worst case, they both have the same amount of operations that are needed to complete the task. Okay, so both are valid solutions, and both no one solution is better than the other in this case. Okay, all right, thank you.